who contacted you from Jim Crockett Promotions?
Oh, it was I contacted them. I was working, I had 2 shows left for Dallas on Christmas Day and the day after on 1984. And I had no more events after that because they brought Sunshine back. Sunshine looked great after her um, episode with rehab. They really did a world of good for her. I mean, she just looked angelic whenever she came off the helicopter there at the Cotton Bowl. So you kind of knew that, well, yeah, my time was up. Um, I had heard, like Michael Hayes was promoting in Florida. So, and I knew Michael from working with him in Dallas. And then whenever I landed, I went to go talk to him and everything. And he said that they were getting ready to close Florida down, but that Dusty was in the next dressing room. Dusty Rhodes was in the next dressing room, and that he was getting ready to blow up the Carolinas. And I remember specifically that's how he put it, was that he was getting ready to blow up the Carolinas. And that, did I know who Dusty was? Did he need me to introduce him or anything? I was like, oh no, I know Dusty from when he worked with my dad. And I just was a little girl at that time. I was probably only like 8 or 9 years old whenever I met him the first time. And whenever I went over to the dressing room, Dusty's sitting like in the middle of the dressing room, has a big chair, and Tully's like standing off to on his right-hand side. And I gave him my deal of like, hey, I've been working Dallas and da da da, and I really like working, and that maybe if they could use a girl, could they use me? And that I really wanted to keep going, that I wasn't ready to go back to school. And I had no idea that they were actually looking for a girl for Tully at the time. They were having the contest for the perfect 10. They'd asked for females to send in their videos and send in pictures, and they'd gotten a lot. I had no idea, but they had definitely gotten a lot of pictures and videos went that spot with Tully. But Dusty just, it clicked in his head that it would work for me because of my size, the look, everything, that of how much he could do with me and the vignettes. And it just a matter of being like making that first phone call with David Manning in Dallas. It's a matter of a perfect timing again with Dusty and Tully being at that dressing room at that moment and that time, and having the look. And I was really thankful because whenever I went out to go have my match, I saw Dusty and Tully both standing outside their respected dressing rooms. And I was thinking that, wow, if they're still standing there, I've got the job. If they're not standing there after my match, I don't have the job. So I had that overthinking in my head of like, okay, this is what I've got to do. And had a really good match with Stella, and just looked over, and sure enough, they were both standing there. And they contacted me, and they were wanting me to be at end of February, and then contacted me again. It was like more like the middle of February, and would it be inconvenient for me to be there in February? And then finally Dusty was just like, you need to get to North Carolina. I want to get this thing going. So it was kind of, once they started thinking about it and thinking about what they could do with me, and the heat that Tully would get, and what angles we could run off from it, they just got very, very creative and wanted to go. So across the country I went, and started January of '85 with Tully, and we were together just about a year, right at a year.
How'd you get along with Tully?
Tully was good. Tully is definitely what you see on TV is definitely TV is Tully in real life. He's very ego-centered at the time, because I mean, when you look at the heels that he was having to be better than, and then the talent that he could work with, like with Dusty and Magnum and all, and like Rock and Roll Express and those guys. But then you also had like Nikita and Ivan. You had the Road Warriors. There was a lot of heels, and there was a lot of wanting to be the very best. And Tully always wanted to be the very best, whether he had the best looking clothes, the best looking car, or he had the best match on the card. I have to say that Tully never shirked his duty of being a performer and being the best wrestler on the card, because he always said that, you might have some questionable matches on the card of like the authenticity of it or how good they were, but no one would ever doubt his work. That if they walked away from seeing a Tully Blanchard match, there was no doubt he put up a thought and that what he did was real. And that's what made it so easy to work with him, was that he was so good at what he did. It just made my work easier, and it made my work easier to be hated too, because he was just so good, just absolutely so good.
It really was. And what you said, I couldn't agree with more. You could not see through Tully Blanchard's work. He was amazing.
Right.
What what was your interactions with Magnum like and during that legendary feud?
Just how much animosity they had towards each other. Like, I don't think Tully and Magnum have ever liked each other. There's always been some sort of animosity between them. Um, I think that Tully was trying so hard to be the number one, and then Magnum had the number one spot, like with Dusty, because they were just such good friends that there was always kind of the bull of the woods complex between them, and neither one was going to back down. I have to commend Magnum to this day. I was very fortunate. We were at an event at Beckley, West Virginia, about 2 weeks ago. It's a little over a week ago now. And I was sitting there at the table with him, and I thought of all the people that I've known and how many people I've known that have had absolute tragedy happen to them, and they didn't recover, that they just wallowed in their sadness and their sorrow and the dilemmas that God had put before them, and they just weren't ever to recover. And I looked at Magnum with his handsome son Tucker, and I've made several events with him over the past couple of years, and just how much he's blessed, and how he went from having absolute everything to just in a blink of an eye, everything was taken away. But then how hard he worked throughout the years to not succumb to that one fateful night, that he was still successful, like in the businesses that he had, where he put up cell phone towers. He went up into the mountains and made sure, like people were able to have cell phone service, and had a really good business off of that. Has a beautiful marriage to Courtney, and they've got Lucy and Tucker, and how good he is with the fans and how much he enjoys being out, and just took the absolute worst and then built another beautiful life out of that. And that's so admirable. He's such an inspiration. No one can say that, well, look at what happened to me. I have nothing. Well, look at what happened to Magnum, and look at what he did. And he didn't do it overnight. It took him years and years to build it up, but look at what he's got. And I'm so proud of him. And I'm so happy that I can call him my friend and been able to see his journey through all of this. He truly is an inspiration to a lot of people.
Yeah, very true. Did Tully and Magnum's animosity ever lead to them not being able to work together, or they always, once the bell rang, always business?
Oh, they always had the best matches because they were always the ones that were legitimately beating the crap out of each other.
Right.
They just had a match come out on YouTube where we were at the Meadowlands, and I believe this might have been like a week or two after the I Quit match. And they have the match of the card, match of the night. From start to finish, you could tell the story that they told, you could see that they've been combating each other for a while, that there was true animosity, that there was true hatred, that they didn't like each other. It was just, and at the end, Magnum pinned Tully right in the middle of the ring. And for some people nowadays are like, oh, that would kill my career. I couldn't come back from it. But, Magnum went on to have his feud with Nikita just a few short weeks after that. And then Tully went on to be one of the contributing factors for the Four Horsemen just a few weeks after that, with him joining up with Arn and Flair and Ole Anderson. So you can't say that getting pinned in the middle of the ring is going to kill your career when it's all part of the story, and it all adds to what you are and who you are and where you go on from there, because it certainly didn't kill Tully's career.